Hey guys, welcome to Trekyards. He's Captain Foley.
Trying to phase me? Trying to you don't phase me, bro. He's Commander Cockings.
I feel like I did though. I feel like we did. You were stunned for a second.
I was. You're killing me though. You're killing me.
I'm killing the intro.
You did kill the intro. It said I kill.
Don't let me disintegrate the vibe, okay? We got to keep that vibe shooting along.
And on that rather awkward intro, welcome back to Trekyards. We're going to be talking about a new phaser design today. It's a phaser we've seen in Prodigy, episode 4. And we're going to talk about it, compare it to some other ones, and just get an overall discussion going on the design and what you guys and what we think. Now, Samuel, we did see this first on our live when we were doing a live talking about the vehicle replicator, actually. And I want to know your thoughts on it. I know that you like phasers, you like props.
I do. I do like phasers.
So
I'm staring at the Voyager phaser right there.
I got a bunch of phasers as well. I love phasers.
We have a patron for phasers. This is just like with episode 1, where of Prodigy, where the pace and the story structure is battling it's a kids show where it has to be more simplistic and short attention span versus the more adult whatever. This to me looks like a toy phaser, or like a knockoff Halloween, laser pistol, which is trying to be sort of reminiscent of the TNG one, but not. It's I appreciate it's of the Dustbuster variety, but it's extremely left field. So to me, it says it's a specialist device for this ship because phasers don't have that display. No phaser has that display, literally none. So it's a more fully featured phased beam device, but not a standard phaser for the era. And we know what phasers look like in the era, and they're not this. So taking that into account, if it was a scanning phaser or a high-end special phaser, it's kind of cool, but it's not a standard phaser. That's ridiculous. There you go. Your thoughts, Chip?
My thought is visually very interesting, which again...
That's very fair. It is very interesting.
Yeah, follows the visual style of the show for sure. Also, the deltas on the side and on the top of the handle are very reminiscent of Discovery, of the Kelvinverse. So again, not sure where this is coming from. Could be this could be the TNG version of the Kelvinverse phaser, right?
And
we don't know.
Would fit in perfectly.
Exactly.
Perfectly.
So I like the design. I dig the design. I want one. It doesn't necessarily say phaser at first glance. It feels like more of a multi-purpose tool that can also be used as a phaser just because of the display. Like, does this have a small capability of tricorder to sense life forms or detect, something around you? Possibly. I mean, it got a big enough display on it. I like that. But it don't necessarily get the sense she does say it's a type 1 phaser. It steps out of the box a little bit from the lineup, which we're going to look at in a second, but I like it still. So there's that.
But would you agree it looks like a toy?
Yeah. Or something from another sci-fi franchise, weapon-wise.
This would have been perfect as well. If you remember in Voyager, when they found these aliens that then took on the identity, they were the Delta Flyer crew and they had an oversized... This could be their phaser. They kind of saw a phaser and they made a replica that's wrong, but okay, it's a phaser. It looks like
close enough at first glance when it's being pointed at you that it could look like a phaser, yeah.
Which I included because it's got this whole complicated line tip assembly. And why the glowing deltas? That's such an odd choice.
Because it looks nice. Again, it's just the visual style of the show. Everything pops here. There's a lot of colors. There's a lot of bright. It works in the context of the show.
It does.
100%.
But that doesn't necessarily fit into the context of the universe, which is more important than the show because it's a Star Trek property. And I'm wondering, all phases literally have just a dial, switch going up 1 to 40, and you know what setting it is because you're trained with it, just like a firearm. You know what every button is, how to unassemble it, disassemble it, whatever. So 7 clicks up, 7 lights, the little bar. That's phaser setting 6. It can melt rock, whatever. This is so informative. How is there that many... there's too many buttons to control. What is the left third blue button doing? Stun, kill, stun setting 1, kill setting 10. There's not that much it should, could, would do. So clearly it's a multi-purpose tool, which is cool. Just it's way too overcomplicated.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of having like at least a life form detector or a motion sensor built in, much like we see like in Aliens. Like he can tell that there's people around the corner and they're moving towards you. Like that would be really helpful on a weapon which you're holding in front of you when you're on an enemy ship. You know what I mean?
What if, and this might actually link to the tricorder as well, so Janeway specifically is a training hologram, and she thinks it's cadets. So maybe this is like my kid's first phaser. You know, it's fully auto aim. Every setting there's like safeties and everything can be customized because it isn't a military tactical weapon or at least a Starfleet weapon. Like it is literally the first phaser you're handed when you're 10. Like a kid's phaser.
This is the Playmobil phaser.
Yeah, because she's not necessarily going to hand them top tier Starfleet armament if they're cadets alone without parental supervision. I mean, that kind of makes sense, and then that
especially considering Jankum like shot himself because he wasn't holding it the right way. Yeah.
So what do you think? If it's literally like it's like the training wheel phaser, which is the tricorder also feels similar as well. It's like it is maybe big, basic, a lot of pretty lights. It's less about the function, more about the form, because she knows they're not of the right age to be given a full weapon. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I still think she maybe knows they're not cadets with kind of the smirky way that she says it. So maybe, yeah, she's not giving them the actual Starfleet tech. Maybe she's like giving them like, yeah, this is what we...
But let's go to the full comparison, which I'm sure Stuart is eager to look at. Nice little lineup here, including a bit earlier in the timeline. You've obviously got the Dustbuster, which is the first of the remote control phases in 64. Then the first TNG one, the Cobra Head. Then you got the Dolphin, and you got the Nemesis one. Clear lineage. Then you got the Lower Decks phaser, which there's a reason for the slight disparity of dates. Yes, it obviously appeared in Lower Decks first, but they used it in a flashback on the Keto at DS9 with Mariner, and that was in the 70s. So it's older than Nemesis because she used it an unknown amount of years. So it is. So it. I mean, if you look at the side detail, this easily could just be the Voyager phaser, just in animated form. I think it probably is, but just for clarity, it's older than Nemesis. Then you've got this new one, and then you got the Picard phaser, which is confirmed 100% that date. So, bit of a transition between those two as we transition out of a Dustbustery phases. But yeah, what do you think now, seeing it in full context?
It carries off a lot of really interesting details from the Dustbuster and the 2366 phaser. It doesn't have quite the curve of the ones that follow it. And actually, it's way more canon than the Picard one, ironically, as far as design goes. So I like it. I really do. I just don't think it fits in this timeline or the Prime universe again. I think it feels very much Kelvin-y. And I'm cool with that. It is a next generation Kelvin version. And that's awesome. You know, people think I hate the Kelvin verse, and I don't really. There's just things about it I don't like, especially the Enterprise.
You just call out its flaws.
Yeah, but like I said, I've been anticipating this show since I first heard about it. I've been excited for it. Every episode so far, I've just been more and more excited. I'm enjoying the visuals. I like the lights on it. I like the display. I'm a sucker for that kind of thing on tech. So it really is enjoyable to me, and I have no real complaints, except when you compare it to everything else. There's such a disparity of, you know, if it had like that backlit display, but it had the 3 buttons instead, I'd be a lot happier, because look at all the buttons on the Dustbuster all the way up. It's like simplistic, right? This one is, I mean, it's got that big green dial, which you could probably just scroll with your thumb to set this different settings instead of hitting the button to power it up. I don't know. I like it, just doesn't fit.
Well, there's a certain sense of when you get to the TNG phases that they're so advanced, simple is best. It's a tool. You have a trigger, you have a higher and lower, and 9 times out of 10 you stay at stun, right? So you don't need much, go and kill is pretty rare occurrence. So whereas this feels extremely over the top, but obviously you go into Picard, it's a gun. It's back to being just a gun, it's a trigger gun, right? And in fact, there's no, unlike the rifle, there's no glowies, there's no flashies. It's actually very restrained in that fact. It gives you sort of Star Trek 6 phaser vibes, or just its own. It's not necessarily modernized by any means. It's just its own thing. So it's it's a tool. It doesn't it's odd, and in fact does honestly look the most like a Hoover out of any of the things on this thing. Because of how the grip is, it's like you push it against the... Because the Dustbuster, you got it's actually quite flat, so you got to like do this, whereas this, it's nice and Hoover, which is kind of strange. It might be 20 or 19 years later and 30 years later or 40 years later, whatever, but we finally got to actual Hoover version.
I think the most important question, though, is what do you think of it, and would you want to add it to your collection? Because I definitely want one. So, what about you? I know you're a big sucker for props and phasers, so...
I don't like it that much aesthetically, but the Picard one's also grown on me over the last year. But then again, I wouldn't necessarily want a lower dex phaser, just the oversized, simple shape. It'd have to be. I'd have to see full orthos. I mean, okay, put it this way: I wouldn't want a toy version that would oversize it by default. I would want an accurate scaled, because then, as we've found, the properly scaled ones, okay, you realize, there's a logic to this. So high-end replica, maybe. But I also wouldn't want a Dustbuster. Like, it's just not visually appealing to me. If I was offered one, I'd have one. So, and I'm only getting a TNG one because I need it for a film. So, so yeah. But yes, there you go. There you go, guys. Compare and contrast. Tune in for other reviews on the tech ship stuff. So much in episode 4, not 3, 4, to look at. We're going to look at it all, really dive into it with these comparisons. There's literally... thrown in nuggets all throughout the episode and in a cliffhanger, so what we'll see next week, we don't even know.
So you've heard that we both want one. So put in the comment section whether you want one, what you think of the design. Does it feel more Kelvin TNG to you? Do you think it fits in this lineup? Let us know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell icon, and join us for lives where we talk about this kind of stuff. We'll be doing a live at some point this upcoming week on this tech. So if you want to join us for that and put in your 2 cents in real time so that we can talk to you about it live, by all means, please do so. It really helps us out in sports channels. So,
yeah. And if you want to support us directly, that's important too, then Super Chats in those lives are the best and most fun way because it's direct communication. Or PayPal, Patreon, joining the channel, and just buying a shirt if you want with this stuff in the description. All of the ways help. And thank you in advance.
That's right. So until next time... He's Commander Cockings.
He is Captain Foley.
And this has been a phaser video.
See, I was direct. I didn't need sights. I was able to just go straight for the ending.
Oh, nice.
Call back.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.